So Trump is in LA to help deal with and address the issues of the California wildfires that are burning and ravaging and pillaging homes unlike anything that we've ever seen and known in current history here in the United States. And for that matter, globally, I'm not sure if we've ever seen anything like this as far as fire and how it's laying waste to cities and entire sections of that state and displacing tens of thousands of people left and right. And let's take a look at how this whole thing plays out. I haven't actually pre-seen this, but let's take a look at how Trump deals with this. Supposedly he goes in on the local LA mayor there. So let's see.
Mr. President, without your help, they're only going to get $43,000 from the federal government, even if they have a half
Well,
million dollar
you did
uninsured
something,
loss.
Brad, with every insurance company in the country left California. That's why you have no insurance, because you made it so impossible. People that think like you made it so impossible. And
Mr. President, if I can just defend FEMA a little bit.
yeah,
They brought thousands of people in. I don't know how they're doing in other states. They're doing a good job for us here. They've got a huge center that's open from 9 in the morning till 8 at night. But also, when you have a disaster this size, you need to be able to deploy thousands of people, which they've been able to do. Now, California, if we did it on our own, maybe we'd have thousands of people.
you do.
But if Rhode Island has a Palisades disaster, are they then supposed to keep
How many
thousands?
people do you have in California? 36? How many? How many
Close-
million?
close to
How
40
many million people do you have?
But
You have 40 million people. You're not going to get a few thousand people. The problem with FEMA is they come from all over the country. They end up in arguments with your people from California because they want to do it a totally different way. And
they're getting.
I can live either way, but you haven't gotten very much done with FEMA and all you have to do is look at North Carolina. It's one of the great disasters of all time.
And Mr. President, you can't have Rhode Island maintain a staff of thousands and thousands of people waiting to see if they have a disaster.
You know who came in and fixed North Carolina or the process? Other states, people from all over the country came. And you have the same thing. You have a lot of people from all over the country. Getting the people is not a problem. Getting the organization's a big problem.
Okay, so let me chime in. He's basically going in on him saying, from what I hear, that you're incompetent, right? You've made it in California, for those who don't know, their taxation rate on business, on prosperity, on real estate, on pretty much any and everything is insane, to the point where no insurance company even wanted to enter there. Millionaires are leaving there in droves. Businesses are leaving there. Tesla left there, and others have left there. Joe Rogan even left there. No one wants to deal with the insanity of what that place is becoming. And now they're in the midst of this tragedy, and they have the perfect storm that they've created. And then now Trump is essentially saying that you don't have the competency to even deal with it. You're actually making the situation worse. Let's keep going.
FEMA's incompetently run, and it costs about 3 times more than it should cost.
I'm hoping
we
that
can
you
spend
get a
money
better
on
run.
schools instead of giving money to bureaucracy. It takes you so much longer.
Mr. President,
It takes you so much longer
for helping our people.
FEMA has a standard, Brad, and I'm a builder. I was a very good builder. FEMA has a standard that's so slow. They want permit on permit on permit, and then they want permits on top of that. If you use FEMA, you'll be here for a long time. What I'm saying is get the city, get the state to give you immediate 24-hour permits. These people are going to build their own homes. They're going to get them built fast. How many of the people, could I ask you one question? How many of the people, what are people going to do for financing? What are people going to do? How many people can build a home, a percentage-wise,
Right.
like where they don't have to go out and get funds? Some people are just not going to be able to rebuild their home because they have a beautiful home, but they don't have cash, right? So what are people looking to do in that case? You're going to have a big percentage, I would assume, Brad, like that. What are they going to do? Go ahead.
Mr. President, without your help, they're only going to get $43,000 from the federal government, even if they have a half
Well,
million dollar
you did
uninsured
something,
loss.
Brad, with every.
Okay, so that's essentially the end of that right there. That's a legitimate question, right? Like, for the people who don't have the money to rebuild their home, and there's no insurance, there's no fire insurance. So all of this devastation, where all of this waste is being, homes are being laid waste to, you're going to get $43,000 from the government, and then other than that, you're on your own. Now, part of what some people haven't had empathy for a lot of these fire victims, because they're saying, well, this is premier real estate within the country. It's not really the same for them. They should be fine. Obviously, I disagree with that, and I don't. I mean, it just really speaks to some of where some of us are here on planet Earth, with because those people have a little bit more money than the common individual. The devastation that they're experiencing shouldn't matter, right? They should be able to figure things out for themselves. Uh, it's really sad, right? But for the rest of us who are still tapped into the human family and care for one another like we should care for ourselves, if nothing else in spirit, those are tragic circumstances. Our hearts are with them. And a lot of people will come out of that. And hopefully now that Trump is on top of this on the ground, he can bring some sanity to a very insane situation where government, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm not an advocate of federal government, to be honest with you. The thing is, though, the way the incompetency of it all is so vast and so far reaching that the fact that there is a person like Trump in there who's wielding powers in a way that typically presidents don't, it's actually a good thing. It turns out to be a good thing that he's got his foot on the neck for some of these individuals, if not all of these individuals. They most certainly need it. My thing is, though, I don't really like being dependent on the idea of that, right? It really must and needs to be on the ground level where you and I, on the everyday individual level, understand that governments need to be held accountable by their people. People don't need to be held accountable by their government. That's the idealism of the parts of the world in which we live where this message is reaching. That's the whole point. So whatever it is, however we have to do it, that needs to be understood, that needs to be lived out, that needs to be practiced. Right? Now we have an opportunity, if nothing else, to at least speak and move the agenda forward in that regard. Practice what you can as far as these virtues and values of freedom, human freedom, the freedom of the individual taking place and having precedence over everything. Over everything. And when tragedies like this happen, unforeseen, unplanned for tragedies such as fire or whatever other natural disasters that happen, then okay, obviously functional government should step in, not dysfunctional. And there's a whole lot of functioning, dysfunctional individuals out here, and that's bleeding into institutions. I say we all need to become a little bit more functional and transfer that functionality into whatever it is that we do. It's not about doing less for more, the most amount of money we can get for the least amount of effort. Take pride in whatever it is that you do. Take pride in the land where you've invested, your forefathers have invested blood, sweat, and tears. Be an individual of prosperity and purpose. Do that, I do that, enough of us do that, we'll be fine. Do it not, and what befalls you, you deserve.